John likes tech and lives in Indiana, you know. Kevin likes the Dodgers and talks on the radio. John plays games on Xbox and on his Nintendo, while Kevin runs around LA with his mustachio. It's the Lack of Genius podcast, in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast.
Do you have any Irish blood, John?
Yeah, like 8%.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I thought
I've done the ancestry DNA. I think I'm like 8% Irish and 23% Scottish. I've got some Celtic blood there.
Yeah, you're culturally appropriate for this episode then, is what you're saying.
Barely.
Barely culturally appropriate for this episode. That's what we strive for. That's John.
We're trying not to appropriate.
I'm Kevin. Yeah, we're trying not to appropriate as much as possible. We are doing a St. Patrick's Day episode because this episode drops on St. Patrick's Day, which is kind of funny in the podcast world. And I think we're still learning the rhythm a little bit. But like probably most people who listen to us aren't going to listen to this till like a couple days after St. Patrick's Day. But, you know, that's the downside of a holiday actually falling on a day that we drop an episode. So what's been our sort of MO on holidays? How have we been doing this, John?
You do fun stuff. I do history stuff that makes us think and then question whether or not we should actually celebrate that holiday.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. It's true, and I don't mean to laugh at it, but it's like it's not always fun looking into the history of holidays, right? It's sort of like
not.
I don't think that's our actual goal, is to be like, let's look at the history and stop celebrating. But, you know, when we were kids, when we were in high school or whatever, you hear, oh, St. Patrick's Day, everyone wears green and drinks a bunch. And it's like, wait a minute, but literally nobody knows. And then the internet was born and everyone's like, wait a minute, is this why we're doing this? Is this why we're doing this? So like, I don't know. I'm not here to judge you if you're going out on St. Patrick's Day to drink green beer and wear a bunch of green. I'm going to wear green. I'm wearing my green Dodger hat right now, my olive green that barely counts. But, you know, I'm also an old man. I'm not the type to go out and dress as a leprechaun and drink green beer on St. Patrick's Day anymore, you know. Trying not to be too humbuggy about it. But yeah.
I mean, if I happen to be wherever, you know, Flogging Molly happens to be playing on St. Patrick's Day, I might go to the concert. But normally it might, if there was a good pub around here, I might go there. But there isn't. So, and you know, you shouldn't drink and drive. So I'm not going to go driving a half hour away just to go to a good bar.
Yes. I did not include this question because I couldn't find, there were so many different answers on this, but a lot of people think St. Patrick's Day is the biggest drinking holiday, but no, it's not. It's like fourth or something. It's the fourth biggest behind, I think New Year's Eve is up there, Christmas Day is up there, 4th of July is up there. And then some of the lists had Mardi Gras on there, which is crazy to me because I don't think of Mardi Gras as a drinking holiday at all. Like, like I don't celebrate. I've never gone out on Mardi Gras. And anyways, I echo what John said. If you are drinking on St. Patrick's Day or any day, designate a driver. Be safe. Call a Lyft or Uber.
Tidy up before we go any further with the show. Tidy up before we go. Fix our mistakes tonight. I wanna get it right. Tidy up.
So the first thing I want to tidy up, I get the feeling this doesn't affect too many people, but I do want to call it out because it did affect one of our public-facing social medias.
What's that, Ranger Gouda?
I got. We use this great program that we like. It's like an online studio where John and I log in, and when we bring guests on, we send them a link to it, and they can hop on and join us, and it's a great way to record their audio, isolate their audio. It's without getting too much into the technicality. We love the system. It's also what we use to live stream. So as I've talked about many a time before, I'm working on this children's project, Gouda Wooda. I'm Ranger Gouda. I'm a forest ranger on the mythical Mustache Island. And I had a friend of mine on who's doing some voices for me. I sent him a link to the same studio that we use. He came on. Little did I know that once I pushed the record button, I was sending out our Lack of Genius live stream to our socials. And so if on a random Wednesday, I think it was, you saw that Lack of Genius was streaming and you popped on and you couldn't figure out who that other guy was that I was talking to, that was my friend Milton. he's helping me do some voices. So I was live streaming as, you know what? I'll say the spoiler. I was Ranger Gouda. He's playing my good friend, my character's good friend. He's a squash whose name is Squashua. And his friends call him Squash for short. And that's the voice that he was doing. So I apologize. And you're welcome at the same time if you happen to hop in. Yeah, thank you. Appropriately done, yes.
You're welcome.
John sends me a text and he's like, hey, Ranger Gouda, you know you're live streaming on Lack of Genius's YouTube right now. Okay, so error on Kevin. The other tidy up, I heard from listener Erica, who happens to be my sister. She texted me during the golf episode, literally as she was listening, and she was like, her exact text said, she was talking about our friend Eddie. Eddie just posted a video from those gold tower things John was talking about. I'm like, gold tower things? What is she? I realized she typoed gold. She meant golf tower things. And even that, I was like, what is? She was talking about Top Golf, which John mentioned in the golf episode. They're the things that are like 4 stories high, 5 stories high, whatever, and you just drive golf balls out. And last week, if you listened, I was not sure that those existed in Southern California. I was like, I'm sure they do, but I've never seen one. Turns out, as I just Googled, Southern California just opened its first ever Top Golf like yesterday, like this week. And my friend, in fact, was probably at because he gets into cool events, he was probably at a special check it out before anyone else showing of it. So we just opened our first one in Ontario, California. I'm very excited that a new one is opening in El Segundo, which is much closer to me. That's in the South Bay, and I'm on the west side, if you know LA. So you better believe I'm going to be sitting on the 4th floor in an air-conditioned golf cubby, driving some golf balls like Happy Gilmore.
It's time to take a quiz or two. Like a Genius podcast doing this for you. You may fail, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time. Don't really want this quiz to be tough. I just want to pass one cause I failed enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time.
Oh, yes. John's about to school us on some history for St. Patrick's Day, and I'm doing only fun stuff because my brain is not very good. John's going to ask the first question about St. Patrick's Day. A very happy St. Patty's to you and yours, by the way.
So, what century was St. Patrick alive?
Yeah, you always ask a century question, John. You know I hate them. You know I hate these questions. Okay, so you're saying St. Patrick was a real person?
He was a real person.
Yes, we talked about saints before because I was kind of confused about what they were, and that was what we learned a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, so what century was St. Patrick alive? Go ahead.
The 2nd, the 5th, the 13th, or the 17th.
Wow, and they're not even consecutive centuries. They're all over the place. All right, so the 2nd century was the year 100 to 199. I can say that. I'm looking at, did you hear how confidently I said that right now? Because the trick is you just subtract 1. You just subtract 1.
Is it?
Yes, it is. Don't ask me with a question mark. This is a wide range. I mean, especially if we got the 2nd century, 5th century, 13th, and 17th. 2nd to 17th, that's a pretty broad range. I'm going to pretend like I have some kind of knowledge on this, but I don't. For some reason, the 5th century is jumping to my mind, like I've seen this before. But really, it's just going to be my random guess. I'm going to go with the 5th century, John.
You are.
Oh,
correct.
Yeah. Look at me with my non-lack of genius.
Yeah. So according to something called the Declaration, and I don't know exactly what that is, to be honest, but it was supposedly something that was written by St. Patrick. He was alive in the 5th century. He was born in Roman Britain to a wealthy Romano-British family. His father was a deacon, and his grandfather was a priest in the Christian church. And then evidently at the age of 16, he was kidnapped by Irish raiders and taken as a slave to Gaelic Ireland. So this was before, Christianity was there. He evidently spent 6 years there. And then, according to the Declaration, God told Patrick to flee to the coast where there would be a ship waiting to take him home. And then once he was there, he then decided to go back and convert Ireland.
Okay. So in the 400s, 5th century, that goes very far back, young St. Patrick. Not so young St. Patrick. You ready for my first one about fun?
I am.
All right, so we all know finding a 4-leaf clover is considered lucky and is a symbol of St. Patrick's Day. What are the odds of actually finding a 4-leaf clover? Is it 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000, or 1 in 100,000?
I know it's not super common, but it's also not super rare. I think it's the 1 in 1,000.
Is that what you're going to go with?
Yeah.
1 in 1,000, says John. That is incorrect. You were off by, it's the next one, 1 in 10,000. And you are right. It's not the most rare thing in the world, even though it's so funny. I've always wanted to find a 4-leaf clover, never have found one. And
I think I have, but I don't remember.
Well, interestingly enough, they say that the kind of the harder you look for it, the less likely you are to find it. They literally say because of the way our brains work at picking up patterns, the best way to do it is to go through a field of clovers and just kind of like stroll around and move your shoe around a little bit and see if anything, once something jumps out to you is like, oh, that's abnormal, then you look. So the clover, by the way, it's the white clover, Trifolium repens. Trifolium has the TRI in it because of the tri, because they're supposed to have 3 leaves on them. And these are, I always associate this clover with like a soccer field, but like when the grass starts to grow and these little white flowers start to grow that you see everywhere, that is the clover plant. That is a traditional clover plant. 2 more quick facts on these is that there can be 5-leaf clovers, 6 leaves, even 7-leaf clovers. They're very rare. And the last thing that I enjoyed learning a lot on this is that technically all of these clovers are 1-leaf clovers because the little leaves that come out of them are actually leaflets. So that so it has 3 leaflets, but they're all collectively 1 leaf. So technically everyone finds a 1-leaf clover. So you can tell your friends that fact when you're drinking your green beer on St. Patty's Day. All right.
And evidently, I didn't put this as a question, but evidently one of the things that people do is they'll put a clover in their beer and then drink it.
I have heard this before as well. I've heard this before, which I guess if you're just doing 1 clover, no big deal, but multiple clovers might be not so good.
You ready for the next one?
Yeah, number 2 on St. Patrick's Day history.
March 17th is celebrated as the blank of St. Patrick. Birth or death?
Wow. Oh, man, you're giving me a 50-50 shot here. By the way, you have 2 true or false questions coming up. Lucky you. March 17th is celebrated as is it the birth or the death of St. Patrick? I'm leaning towards death. Death is calling my name. Death is knocking at my door. I'm going to pick death. I don't know for sure, but that's my logical guess. Death. All right.
Yeah. I guess they decided to just use the day that he supposedly died, March 17th. Something that's interesting is that since, it is a feast within the church, both Catholic and Anglican, I forget which one it is, but one of them will actually move the day if it happens to be part of Holy Week.
Oh, interesting. That's random.
Because it's almost always during Lent. Like Lent gets lifted for that day. And that's why, drinking is such a big thing on that day.
Is that part of what the tradition of drinking for St. Patrick's Day is? Is that part of it?
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
That's it? Wow, I never put that together because Lent is over and now we can do all our bad habits again.
Well, but it's only over for a day.
Oh, it's just like a reprise is that the right word?
Right.
It's like a little break in the
reprieve,
the fast.
I think.
Reprieve. Yeah, a reprieve. That's it. Yes. Yeah. Anyways, all right, cool. Well, man, I'm 2 for 2. Look at me go. You're 0 for 1 so far, but let's see how you do on number 2 about St. Patrick's Day fun. True or false? Most green beer is made by adding green dye.
So I guess it depends on your definition of dye. Because if you're, say you're adding an ingredient that would also make it green, is that adding dye?
No, my question is dye specifically.
Like food coloring?
Yeah. Most green beer is made by adding green dye or green food coloring.
I'm going to say true.
Okay, you're choosing.
Probably be entirely wrong.
True it is wrong. Most green beer is actually made by adding blue dye. That's what the hint was, because beer has a yellow color, you add blue to it, and it makes a perfect, and that sort of blew my mind. No pun intended, blew my mind.
I think my brain just completely skipped over the fact that it said green.
Yeah, I was like, John's either gonna see it right away or it's gonna slip past him. There was no middle ground. And it's funny because I don't think I've ever heard that, but it totally makes sense once you hear it. It's like, duh, I add blue instead of blue and yellow makes green. We learned that in kindergarten, apparently. And
or even pre-kindergarten.
You learn that at a very young age. So you can still add green dye. Green dye will still work, but blue tends to work even better. So there's your fun tip for the day if you're looking to make some blue beer this weekend. I mean, some green beer this weekend. Good luck if you want to make blue. I don't know what to tell you there.
It's called you add blueberries.
Exactly. Oh, I love blueberries. That sounds bomb. Okay, all right. 0 for 2 and 2 for 2. I'm 2 for 2. Wow. Did not see this coming.
Why is the Shamrock significant?
Oh.
It's reminiscent of the St. Patrick War. They remind people of Ireland. It was used to teach the pagans about the Trinity, or it was used to make whiskey.
Oh my goodness. It's used to make whiskey. Okay, so I think I can say this now, because now that we're past the beer question, I want to say that I read something about people would add a bunch of clovers to their beer to make it green, and that just sounded totally unhealthy. Like one clover is fine, but if you're going to add a bunch, that's you're playing with fire there.
I don't think that'd be too bad for you.
Yeah, I guess, it is an organic material. I guess it's not the worst thing in the world.
It would be just like spinach or
I guess as long as you wash it before you pick it out of the ground. I guess I'm envisioning just picking them out of the ground and throwing them in your cup. Okay, I'm pretty sure this one, the Trinity is something that I'm familiar with and that I know that the 3 leaves somehow represent. So I'm going to say C, used to teach the pagans about the Trinity. The pagans.
Yeah, and this is something that it's the tradition holds. They think that St. Patrick probably may have used 3 leaves or the 3 leaflets, as Kevin stated
leaflets,
earlier.
Yes.
He would use that as a means of talking about the Holy Trinity. 3 was something that was already very big in the Irish and pagan worlds before the Trinity. Some people think that's why it was fairly easy for St. Patrick to get people converted to Christianity. Was 3 was already seen as a thing.
All right, cool. Well, we are learning. Let's see how you do on number 3 about St. Patrick's Day fun. This is geographically close to you.
It is.
So as we know, the Chicago River gets dyed green every year. A group of which Chicago Workers Union is responsible for dyeing the Chicago River green each year? Which union? Is it the Bricklayers Union, the Painters and Decorators Union, the Asbestos Workers Union, or the Plumbers Union?
I'm almost positive I've heard this before, and I don't remember.
So you have some familiarity with the fact that it's a union. You just can't remember which one. Just the mere fact that it was a union blew my mind. I just assumed it was like the city council or something like that.
No, it's Chicago. If there's something happening, there's a union involved.
Yeah, good point.
I'm just gonna go with the Plumbers Union.
Locking in the Plumbers Union. Mario and Luigi doing their thing.
Yep.
That is correct, John. Woo! Yeah, the Plumbers Union, Local 130. Every year, it's their tradition. So they use their dye. They use 3 boats. They have 2 boats that are going around and pouring the quote unquote secret sauce into the river, and then one that's going in and mixing it up and spreading it out. It's pretty cool, especially watching like a time lapse of that happening.
Right.
But the dye is they don't tell the secret formula, but the dye is basically this. They used it to detect leaks in pipes. So like they would dye the water. I guess I don't know exactly how, but you would dye the water. And then once you see the green water, that's where the leak is coming from, something along those lines. So it's, but the funny thing about it is that this kind of goes back to what the beer question that you asked. Apparently it's a powder, and the powder is not green. It's actually like a reddish orange color. But for some reason, when it reacts with the water, it turns it that bright emerald green color. So, and first time they did that was in 1961. So it's always for the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Chicago, which started in 1956. But 5 years into it, there's some story about how like somebody saw a plumber in his like coveralls, and they were white coveralls, but they were covered in this green. And somebody asked, like, what is that all about? And then the rest is history. And now we get a green river every year.
Yeah, I mean, and they do that in Indy as well. I don't know if it's the Plumbers Union that does it, but there's a canal that goes through Indy, and they dye it green every year.
No way.
As well.
That's cool. I wonder what union does it for them.
and here's an interesting fact about the Chicago River.
Yeah.
They've actually changed the direction that it flows.
What? Tell me more.
Yeah, so, it used to flow into Lake Michigan, and a lot of people got their water from Lake Michigan back in the day.
Uh-huh.
And so, you had this river going in, and then human waste and pollution and all that was just kind of sticking around the port in Chicago. And so to make life healthier, they forced the river to go the opposite direction.
John, knowledge bomb.
You just dropped some serious knowledge on us. How do you even change the direction of a river? Like, how do you even do that?
Engineering.
You just blow really hard? Engineering, yeah. Is that civic engineering?
I think the Army Corps of Engineering was a part of this, but
so instead of running into Lake Michigan now, it runs out of Lake Michigan. They changed the direction.
Right.
That is wild. Wow.
Yeah, so they really changed the direction it flowed, mainly with using canals and stuff, it looks like. If you go to the Wikipedia page for the Chicago River, there's actually a couple maps on the right side that kind of show how it was done.
Wow.
But it looks like it was done in late 1800s, early 1900s.
So the next time you're feeling like you can't accomplish a goal, I want you to go to the Chicago River Wikipedia page and be like, they made a river go in a complete different direction, and I'm worried about passing a math test. Like, you got this in you. You believe in yourself. Anything is possible.
Yeah, and it was evidently in 1999 named a Civil Engineering Monument of the Millennium by the American Society of Civil Engineers.
As it should have. That is basically the most significant civil engineering thing to happen in the 1900s. And it happened at the very beginning of the 1900s.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
that's the Chicago River.
In terms of our quiz, you just got your first one right on the fun one. So you're 1 for 3. I'm 3 for 3, which is madness. Let's see if I can open the door for you or keep the streak going on number 4 about history.
What is it that St. Patrick is said to have done? Drive out the snakes, get rid of the rats, invented whiskey, or invented beer?
I'll tell you right now, I'm pretty sure I know the answer. And this is not something I learned from school, so I'm not giving any credit to education right now. I learned this from the television show The Simpsons. And I can't even I can't even remember what happens in the episode. I think they did a parody of it. Maybe snakes took over Springfield or something. I don't remember, but I know that The Simpsons taught me that St. Patrick drove out the snakes from Ireland. So I'm going to choose drive out the snakes, quote unquote. All right. Now tell me why snakes are in quotes, though. That's what's interesting to me here.
That is an allegory for pagans.
Oh, my God. Pagans meaning non-religious people, basically.
Non-Christian
people. So they could be, they could have any religion or beliefs that they want, but if they weren't Christian.
Well, remember, paganism is a religion.
Yes.
So this was specifically focused on a specific group of people.
I'm sure there wasn't a Muslim or Jewish population or whatever. Maybe there was, but
right.
They specifically drove out the pagans. And so, wait a minute. So the myth...
And by drove out, either converted or killed.
No way. And that's what we celebrate every year, technically. Oh, yeah. So wait a minute. There were no snakes? Like, I don't mean that disparagingly.
Not really.
Like, now, is there a chance, and it's okay if you don't know this, is there a chance that, like, there was a snake infestation that happened to overlap with the time? There wasn't. And then history just rewrote it that way?
You could say it was history, but it was the church. Think about what the snake represents in the Bible, right?
Yeah, the Garden of Eden, temptation,
right.
The apple.
The devil.
The devil.
So they were driving out the devil. That's what St. Patrick did.
Wow. That is insane to me. So this is literally, genocide, right? Is that too strong of a term?
I don't know if it's too strong of a term, but you could definitely, I think, consider it that. I don't know how many people died. I don't want to devalue that term.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yep. Or devalue the lives that were lost as a result of this, just because they weren't as big as another travesty. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And so my friend, she actually, brought up the fact that St. Patrick's Day is kind of a sore day for him, just like Columbus Day is for Native Americans.
Wow.
And, and I was starting to think about that before she told me that. And I'm like, is this something that I should be celebrating now?
Yeah. What did she say?
Yeah, we kind of stopped the conversation there because I just said I was going to bring that up on the podcast. But is St. Patrick's Day really celebrating St. Patrick anymore? Or is it more celebrating Irish heritage? Because yes, paganism got driven out, the snakes were driven out or whatnot, but there was still a lot that kept all those that culture and heritage alive.
Sure. Yeah. Wow.
So, and especially after the Troubles ended in Ireland, the Irish heritage is starting to be more allowed.
Yeah.
To the flourish and everything.
Well,
I don't know. It's a difficult decision, should you celebrate St. Patrick's Day or should it just be Irish Heritage Day?
That's exactly the thought that comes to mind, is that it's almost like Thanksgiving, how I would say that the majority of people who celebrate Thanksgiving are by no means trying to celebrate the genocide of a people, but we have to acknowledge that that's part of the history of it. But yeah. I listened to a podcast that our listener Dylan sent us about, Native Americans who gather every year with the intent of using it as intentional time to be together with family, like even a Native American family. And this is just one example, obviously, but St. Patrick's Day is a little bit tricky because it's not this holiday that people gather for family and for love. But yes, does it honor Irish people and Irish culture and Irish heritage? Sure. Yeah, it does. And that doesn't necessarily mean most people who are Irish and celebrate St. Patrick's Day are likely not fans of genocide, or whatever term we want to use. So yeah, that's I think this is a great lesson in knowing your history, but not being disrespectful.
And I don't know if this is your last question or not, but St. Patrick's Day was a bigger thing outside of Ireland for a very long time than it was actually in Ireland.
Is that right? No, I didn't have anything on that.
Yeah, the Irish diaspora outside of Ireland is really what caused St. Paddy's Day to get to where it is now.
And I guess I don't know that I'm in a place to obviously I'm not here to make a decision for other people, but for myself, I already said at the top of this episode, I don't go out and do much for St. Patrick's Day anyways, right. Never really have. I don't think I have any Irish in me, but in the future, I think I'm definitely going to be aware of the history now and cognizant of it. But yeah, I'm going to look at it as a celebration of a people and a culture rather than of this person who was wrongly written in history about. History the internet has opened the world up in so many ways. You can say what you want about the negative things it's done. It's at least made people woke. And I never thought of us as a woke podcast, but I feel like we're woking people right now, John.
And if you don't believe in the internet, one, how are you listening to us? But two, there is a fantastic book out there called The People's History of the United States.
Oh, yes, I've heard of this.
It's by Howard Zinn. If you've never seen Good Will Hunting, he gets talked about, that book gets talked about, and it's not fiction. I mean, it's straight up history as it was, talking about Columbus and, the smallpox blankets and stuff like that. The struggles of pretty much every other person other than white people. Yeah. I mean, it's the real history, not the history that we want it to be.
What's the name of the book again?
People's History of the United States. And there are different versions of it. It gets updated every so often. Howard Zinn, who wrote the book, I think has since died.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's still being updated or not.
I get it. It's being updated as more and more things are being kind of uncovered. Wow.
As history is happening too.
Because history is happening and it's like, this is what we were told. This is what actually was happening.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. All right. Well, that's my next read. I'm going to learn how to read first, and then I'm going to buy the book, and then I'm going to read it. Those are my 3 steps. Okay, well, are you ready for a total gear shift now? Total just like slam on the brakes and chant. We're going to talk about the Shamrock Shake. Oh, no, we're not. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm skipping ahead. Spoiler alert, number 5 is about the Shamrock Shake. I thought we were on number 5, but we're on number 4. True or false? Oh, my God. This is the largest gathering of people dressed as leprechauns was set in the United States. Is that true or is that false?
That definitely seems like something we would do, so I'm going to go with true.
You're choosing true. That is Incorrect. I agree 100% that it seems like something we would do. It actually was set in Ireland. So I guess that makes sense. Ireland has the record for, so the largest gathering of people dressed as leprechauns. Not even that big of a number, in my opinion, 1,263. I guess that's pretty modest. I guess that's a lot of people. In Bandon, Ireland, on St. Patrick's Day 2012, 1,263. They also hold the record for, see, now this one I would not stand for. They also have the record for the largest gathering of people dressed as St. Patrick, which you'll be happy to know is less than the leprechaun people. It's 882, set in 2013. And this one, I definitely stand by this one. They have the largest gathering of people dressed as the Hulk. I say we celebrate the Hulk every St. Patrick's Day as our new green fixture. 574 people dressed as the Hulk on July 13th, 2012. So they got a lot of green going on.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Now we're on number 5 for history, where I'm 4 for 4. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my God. There's a lot of pressure here. So I won the episode. We know that, but I could go. I could go perfect here.
Yeah. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Oh my gosh.
So when did St. Patrick's Day become a national holiday in Ireland? 1603, 1703, 1803, or 1903?
Well, you may have inadvertently given me a clue to this, because you mentioned how Ireland didn't even really celebrate St. Patrick's Day till after other people. So that I'm going to take that as a clue that it's probably something later. And in fact, I don't think I ever would have chosen 1903 without that. But because you said that, I'm going to say that it's the shocking one that it was 1903. I would expect that it was earlier, but I'm going to choose it just based on what I just said. Oh, yeah!
Correct.
5 for 5. I know my history. Yeah. Oh, man, I'm going to wear a St. Patrick's Day badge. I'm going to wear a Irish Cultural Heritage Day badge on my chest and wear it proudly.
Yep, it became an official public holiday in Ireland in 1903. This was thanks to the Bank Holiday Act of 1903, an act of the United Kingdom Parliament.
Okay.
And it's kind of, like I said, it wasn't really celebrated in Ireland a whole lot until relatively recently. But there's been a big move to actually use more of the Irish language, especially in Ireland, where evidently from March 1st to the 17th, it's called Sictang na Gaeilge. I probably butchered that pronunciation, which basically means it's Irish Language Week. Even though that's like a 2-week span. So
yeah. Well, that's a long week. I like that. So you're bringing that's a way to bring in the culture and make it a little more relevant to history. Mm-hmm. All right. Wow. So I just aced a quiz on St. Patrick's Day history. Unbelievable. You have one. I think you're only 1 for 4, man. Just telling the facts. But let's see how well you know your Shamrock Shake. So for many years, McDonald's Shamrock Shake was only available at select locations. What year did it go nationwide? Was it in 2002, 2007, 2012, or 2017?
I could care less about if it went nationwide or not, because I think they're horrible shakes. I don't like things that are mint flavored.
Got it. Uh-huh. Yep.
I'm going to say 2012.
2012 is your pick, John.
Yep.
You're 2 for 5, my friend. Good job. I think about the mintiness of the Shamrock Shake. I think I've only had a Shamrock Shake once in my life, and I do think that I enjoyed it a lot. My memory is, wow, yeah, I get it. This is really good. I think there's something refreshing about the mint. Right. I also do like mint chocolate chip ice cream, and if I think it's almost like a creamier version of that, if you will.
If you say so.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you like mint chocolate chip though?
No.
Okay, you don't like anything that's mint. I get that. No. The ice cream and mint do seem like kind of clashing flavors. I do enjoy it though.
I want to know who decided that toothpaste should be mint flavored.
Oh yeah, because that's all there is. So you hate toothpaste?
Oh yeah.
Do you use a cinnamon toothpaste? Don't they have cinnamon toothpaste?
Nope. They do, and I hate that too.
I was gonna say cinnamon toothpaste is disgusting. What about peppermint? Peppermint's that's the same thing, right?
Nope. Yeah, peppermint, spearmint. I can tell. I enjoy wintergreen Altoids, but wintergreen's not mint. It's similar but different enough.
So
it's not. I don't even think it's in the mint family. But yeah,
well,
anything mint, I'm not a fan of.
I think for John, we need to make a lemon flavored toothpaste.
There was,
yeah,
but It was lemon mint.
Oh God, yeah. So for those of you who are new to the podcast, John loves lemon and tart things.
The only toothpaste that I found at one point that was even tolerable was a chocolate mint one, and that like it tasted like the Andes, like an Andes.
Oh, see, those are really good. But when I think about brushing my teeth with that, I'm not into it.
But that's the thing. Like, who decided that mint equals clean?
That is a good question because my initial response is, what are you talking about? Mint, it's so fresh and clean and refreshing. Right. But is that only because we were programmed to believe that because years and years of brushing our teeth and chewing gum with mint stuff?
Like to me, citrus seems more clean and refreshing and
interesting. Well, you can go bite a lemon and I'll be here, chewing on my peppermint leaves, and we'll just have to, we'll have to agree to disagree. Yeah. The Shamrock Shake was created in 1967. It was created by an owner and operator of a McDonald's in Connecticut. His name is Hal Rosen. And it was created in 67, and then it was such a huge success that by 1970, it was selling across locations in the U.S. 2012 is the year that it went nationwide. It used to be that I think McDonald's even made an app where you could track down locations that sold the Shamrock Shake. And I think that was part of the fun of it, and part of the sales of it is like, oh, it's a what's the word? It's like it's not as available, so you have to go out and find it. But yeah, they eventually gave in and just made it everywhere. I did read somewhere, and I'd have to fact check this exactly, but it actually wasn't always mint flavored, that it initially was made of a mix of vanilla and lemon lime sherbet, which would be right up your alley, right, John?
Yeah, I'd eat that.
Yeah, me too. And it was called just St. Patrick's Day Green Shake. And I don't know, that doesn't seem to line up with the story about Hal Rosen making it in 1967. Right. So I'm not 100% that's accurate. One of these people is lying. But what is not a lie is that the Shamrock Shake did have a mascot for many years, Uncle O'Grimacy. And if you can picture Grimace, the giant purple guy, it was basically him, but he was shaped more like a chicken McNugget. He was fuzzy and he was kind of like an ugly green color, like a green carpet color. And he was creepy and terrifying. And so luckily for the world, Uncle O'Grimacy was retired many years ago. But now I want an Uncle O'Grimacy t-shirt because I want to celebrate him for the rest of my life. Let's rename it to Uncle O'Grimacy Day instead of St. Patrick's Day. That's what we should do. Uncle O'Grimacy Day. So there you go. All right. Well, celebrate St. Patrick's Day / Irish Cultural Heritage Day / Uncle O'Grimacy Day responsibly and in a woke attitude. Tell your friends if you feel like sharing any of this. And if you enjoy the podcast, please let people know. We exist because of you. We grow because of you. We are on Patreon, and we definitely appreciate and value your support in any way that you see to give it. So thank you, John. Great job today, even though you went 2 for 5 and I was perfect.
You too.
It's the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast.
So there's your fun tip for the day if you're looking to make some blue beer this weekend.